Next topic is the capacity assessment. So, capacity building, we have seen in the previous topic. Capacity assessment is also important. Only after assessing the requirement, we can provide measures. Now, capacity assessment is an analysis of the desired capacities against existing capacities. This generates an understanding of the capacity assets and needs which inform the formulation of a capacity development response. So, based on the response during a disaster, a capacity development or capacity assessment can be done, and the required capacity development can be given. So, assessing institutions and capacity is a central element of preparing and implementing any kind of support. It is also a prerequisite for deciding if and how donor support to capacity demand is feasible. The traditional instruments used by the development partners have had a very mixed record of success. Sometimes the instruments are the problem, sometimes the problem is with the instruments or the instrument donors. Disposal are simply not relevant to the situation. In both complex and delicate to assist others in developing a capacity. Why assessing capacity is important? What is the need for assessing the capacity? So, assessing capacity serves as an input in different process and may support interlinked decisions on strategic and operational choices about overall level, focus areas, operational modalities, and timing of aid. Weak capacity may imply that fewer funds can be effectively used and that more focus on capacity development is required. Selection of key capacity issues to be included in the ongoing policy dialogue, in monitoring or as indicators. Decision about if and how development partners can support the capacity development process of partners. How to assess the capacity? There are many different ways to assess the system capacity. There are numerous tools and instruments which help to diagnose the different aspects of a system capacity. However, no single approach can claim more or less superiority or objectivity. Nevertheless, there is a set of issues that should be kept in mind when considering the capacity assessment. Self-assessment are the best point of departures. Partner lead assessment engaging staff can foster buy into subsequent capacity development process, while external assessments often are perceived to be judgmental. Um, disenfranchising disenfranchising those being assessed. Avoid approaches which focus only on identifying the capacity gaps according to a predefined normative model for good capacity or best practice. Such models tend to overlook the existing capacity assets, which are likely to be good starting point for the future capacity development. Gap assessment tend to have one-side focus on weakness and they tend to lead on predictable solutions, sending into fixed capacity problems and close or bridge capacity gaps. Such approaches are very rare. Look beyond single organization, particularly in sector-wide operations. It is important to stay inside the tower. Example: a central ministry which sees the capacity issues from the view only. Frontline service providers, central level cross-cutting ministries, oversight institutions, and non-state actors are likely to shape and condition the dynamics of capacity development. The strengthening the capacity for reducing the risk. The Strengthening capacities for disaster risk reduction has been developed against the backdrop of the United Nations Development Programme commitment to support developing and high-risk countries through its programs and services for capacity development and disaster risk reduction. Objective of this component is to enhance the capabilities of implementing entities in managing disaster risk reduction, preparedness and resilience and recovery, capacity building for disaster management, to technical support for risk reduction. So the first one is the capacity building for disaster management, is by strengthening the institution and organizational structure, staffing, resources, funding, and regular emergency operations. The capacity of the stakeholders and the institutions, strengthening the disaster response force, setting up a decision support system and emergency operation centers to integrate and analyze the information from multiple sources to an integrated geospatial system. Second is the technical support for risk reduction, to finance activities such as preparation of hydrometeorological resilience action plan, focusing on extreme weather conditions, creating a robust, fail-safe EWS in the region regarding optimum use of strengthened network and facilities. Then river morphology, study for some key rivers impacted by the disaster and to analyze and identify the critical protective infrastructure work needed for the river bank strengthening. Urban vulnerability assessment study with specific focus on seismic risk mitigation, to undertake detailed urban vulnerability analysis and model the various risks for effective mitigation, planning and disaster response preparedness. Upgrading the design guidelines and material specification for construction in seismic zone in order to carry out an update of current construction design standards. Disaster risk financing and insurance, to work out operation to increase the resilience of the financial response capacity, to secure cost effective access to adequate funding for emergency response, reconstruction and recovery. So that is the technical support for risk reduction and